Hey, hello, leaders, and welcome back to Run to Your Leadership Challenge. I'm Paul Grau Jr., your host, and today I want to talk about contributing versus being a bench warmer. So, the other day, I was asked if I want to be a contributor or a bench warmer in something that I was involved in. And, it hit me that, and I responded, or I thought to myself, yeah, you know what? I am being a bench warmer. I am not contributing to what I should have been doing. And it made me think, as a leader, have I ever been a bench warmer? And, I can honestly say that I don't recall a time where I just skated back and let everybody else do the work. I was always trying to get involved in something. I was always asking questions. I was always busy doing stuff. So I would say that as a leader, I've always been a contributor. But there are leaders out there that I know that I can identify as a bench warmer. And, if I go back and ask any of the people that I led, if they thought I was a bench warmer or a contributor, who knows? Maybe they would say, yeah, Grau, he was a bench warmer. But I don't think so because I was always busy doing something. And so I think they know that. I've had some leaders, like I said, that were definitely bench warmers that didn't do anything. I mean, they would come to work and they would expect everybody else to just do their jobs and they just could do whatever they want. And they were never around. You could never find them. And I don't know what they were doing, but they weren't in meetings. I know that. They weren't anywhere on any of the job sites. And, I understand that the more responsibility in a leadership role, the more that it pulls you away from your people. But you know the difference between leaders that are away doing something and leaders that are just skating along and trying to get out of work or sloughing off somewhere when their people really need them. And so I just want to ask you, as a leader, do you think you're a contributor or do you think you're a bench warmer? Are there times when you think that you're a bench warmer and maybe you should be contributing more? How about at home? How about as a spouse or as a parent or as a sibling, friend? Are you a bench warmer or are you contributing to those relationships as much as you should be? Man, as far as relationships go, I know at times I am a bench warmer because I get so wrapped up in different things and my own business, I guess, and I forget to contribute to relationships, to build them and to grow them. And I've been working on it, but it's difficult for me at times because a lot of times my D behavioral style, see, I'm a DI or an ID on the disc, and that D is a real driver. That D is the dominant leader, that directional leader, the one that always focuses on results and what's going to happen, what's going to get done, and doing is the D, all about the task. And a lot of times the I will pull me out and say, hey, you know what? Enough work. It's time to just, relate with people and talk to people. And, a lot of times I'll talk too much. And that's where my listening skills aren't the greatest as a D, but it's just an excuse. All right. Just because I don't have those skills and my behavioral style doesn't have those skills doesn't mean that gives me a free pass not to listen. So, in that sense, I was probably a contributor, even in leadership roles. And that's where, if you have any kind of behavioral style, if you're familiar with the disc, and I highly recommend you take a disc, and if you want to take a disc, just drop me an email at paul@clcteam.com. They're $50, but you get an instant 30-page report that'll tell you everything and anything about yourself. And for $250, you get the disc assessment plus a personalized video that I make just for you that walks you through your entire 30-page report. And I key on about 10 pages and really spend a lot of time walking you through that so you can utilize it to the best of your knowledge. All right. So you can really get the most out of it. Now, like I was saying, I was probably a contributor at times and I was probably a bench warmer at times. And where I struggle the most is building those relationships on a deeper level, probably. And, that is taking place, that takes place everywhere, at work, at home, with my family. And that's a struggle sometimes for me. So as a D, I love doing tasks. So if you're a high D and you struggle with relationships, the way to be more of a contributor than a bench warmer is to make relationship building a task. Put it on your checklist and make it something that it's an accomplishment. And it may seem like it's fake to people who genuinely are easy at building relationships, but for a D and a C, the C is the one on the disc that's very detail oriented. Man, they could work by themselves and just be totally happy, but they struggle to build those deeper relationships because, again, they're focused on the task and doing things right and making sure everything is the I's are dotted and the T's are crossed and all the details are perfectly completed. So that gets in the way of relationship building at times too. So if you're a D and a C, make it a task for you to build relationships. Put it on your schedule. Put 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it takes to go have a decent conversation with your people. If it takes a couple hours, schedule like 15-minute blocks throughout your day, and just take a break, go walk around, ask people how they're doing. And if it turns into 30 minutes, hey, more power to you. But on the disc, the I's and the S's, they prioritize people. Relationship building to them is easy because they love to talk to people. The S's especially, they love listening. So think about your best friend that will listen to you just tell anything and everything about yourself. They are an S because they love listening. But don't take advantage of that. You should make sure you give them the time to talk and where you can listen to them too, because they'll really appreciate that. Now, unless you really know them, they're not going to talk a whole lot and they're not going to get that vulnerable and that personable. But the more you get to know them and the more they know you and the more they trust you, the more they're going to open up. And that goes with just about everybody. But the real question today is, are you a contributor or are you a bench warmer? And I think in various parts of our lives, we're strong contributors. And in other parts of our lives, we might be bench warmers. And, I think that's okay because we all have strengths and we all have weaknesses. And in our weaker areas, maybe we should be more of a bench warmer, or not so much a bench warmer where we're just sitting back watching, doing nothing, but we should be more of a less of a contributor and let other people, where that is their strength, step up and be the head contributor. And then maybe we can fall into more of a supporting role instead of the key contributor role. Even as a leader, there's going to be people out there that are better than us in certain areas. That's where, as a leader, we need to go more of in that supportive role and less of a key contributor role, and try to avoid the bench warmer role, because the bench warmer, you think about it, they're just down and out doing nothing. They're watching, observing, but they're really not doing anything. Now, there may be a time and a place to be a bench warmer, and that might be if you're first learning something. You may want to just be sitting back, watching how things are done, observing, taking it all in. But the main purpose in that case is to be a bench warmer so that you can support and contribute in the future. So anyway, that's it for now. I'm going to cut it off right there because I have rambled long enough. And I hope you enjoyed this show. I'd love to invite you to subscribe to the show and or share it with a friend that you know that may benefit from listening to these shows every day. Hey, appreciate everything you do out there. I appreciate you for listening. And until tomorrow, run to your challenges. We'll see you.